It's one of
You
the
fooled us
background.
again. You fooled us.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes,
go
we
ahead.
are. Yes, we
Yeah.
are. Yes, we are.
Prakash ji, I'll mute everybody. Then you can unmute yourself and talk.
No, I could hear all of you asking me to unmute, but the blessed thing won't get unmuted. I clicked on it
नहीं,
10 times, it won't get unmuted. So
नहीं,
anyway,
मैं ये कह रहा हूँ, I am muting everybody now. So please
Yeah.
unmute after that. Please unmute yourself, Prakash ji, and so that you can
yes,
speak
I have unmuted
uninterrupted.
myself. I have unmuted
Yeah,
myself.
we can hear you. Please go ahead. We will not
You can hear
interrupt
me,
you.
okay. All things which start off badly, generally run smoothly thereafter. So let's see test that maxim today. So once again, a hearty namaskar to all of you who have assembled on a Sunday morning to listen to me on a topic which appears interesting but which is not so palatable. Why I say namaskar to everyone at the beginning of my meeting is I prefer saying namaskar instead of good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Mainly because namaskar is a time neutral greeting. I mean, any time of the day you can greet anybody without bothering to look at your watch. So that was one reason. The secondly, in these days of infections which get passed on from one person to another, of course on Zoom they don't get passed on, but still you don't have to touch anyone in order to say namaskar. So it's like a no contact kind of a greeting. It's a touch proof greeting, which is safe for everyone. And the third and the most important part is that it's a culture neutral greeting. Nobody can object to someone else saying namaskar to them, irrespective of which religion they belong to. Because what does it mean? Namaskar means I am bowing down before the goodness inside you. Now, which culture can object to that? So therefore, I have I was educated in a missionary school right through my childhood, and I was full of good morning and good afternoon and good evening. But over the last 2 or 3 years, I have taught myself or reinvented myself as far as this greeting is concerned. As I was saying, this is a rare coincidence. It's your 25th anniversary, and it's the 50th Golden Jubilee anniversary of my alma mater, which is Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. So I'm talking to you from one of their hostel rooms and not from my usual office or residence at Nagpur, which is where I stay. Now, the topic on which I am supposed to be talking is managing interaction with adult children to minimize conflict. The most important word in this topic is minimize. I have not said to eliminate, because there are certain things in life which cannot be eliminated. I can quote many other examples, which cannot be eliminated, but human beings have been trying for the last 10,000 years to eliminate them. One is probably the idea of drinking liquor. Now, apparently, doctors have told us that drinking liquor has no benefits. But still, we have not been able to completely eliminate that habit from human beings. Secondly is corruption. No economy in the world is completely free of corruption. All that governments can do is to try and minimize corruption. And the third, of course, is the world's oldest profession, prostitution. Many governments have tried to completely eliminate that, but they have never been successful in doing that. So complete elimination in some things or some spheres is just not possible. And this is one of those spheres, the topic that we are talking today. So therefore, we are trying to see strategies which will minimize this conflict. We can never imagine to completely eliminate them. One major disadvantage, if we were to able to completely eliminate these conflicts between you and your adult children, would be that Hindi films would get no masala for them to produce future Hindi films, because most of the plots in India revolve around the conflict between mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law, or the father and the children and things like that. So if we were really able to eliminate these conflicts, I am sure the writers of Hindi films would be poorer, but they are happy that at least we cannot completely eliminate it. So we are going to try and minimize this. Now I am going to be a little more India specific, though I will occasionally quote instances of what happens in the Western society, because some of you are from the USA. My own son is at Boston and I have visited him often. In India, as all of us know, we have very closely knit families. And therefore, parents are extremely protective of their children. I mean, parents even in America are very protective of their younger children. But in India, the same parents don't realize that their children have grown up and continue to remain very protective towards them even when the children have grown up. So we have a set of protective parents because that's how they have been taught how to bring about, how to rear children. And then in Indian philosophy, giving respect to elders is considered to be a great virtue. So respect, this is not so, for example, I keep saying America, what I actually mean is the Western society. In our culture, in the Indian culture, we normally give respect to age. That means any person who is older than us, we give age, presuming that he must be more wise than ourselves. So we give respect by age. In the Western society, though I'm not saying that they do not respect age, but you will find that their respect is more towards competence. I mean, is this guy competent? Then only does the person decide whether he should be giving respect to them. So in the Indian milieu or in the Indian situation, you will find that since respect is given due to the age, Indian children are brought up, and I'm sure all of you will vouch for it, that if you did not show respect to your elders when you were young enough, I think we were scolded, saying that why are you not going? I mean, parents, fine. I mean, one can understand that you do respect your parents. But there are many, many instances that that we are made to respect, let's say, a servant in the house who has been with us for 20, 25 years. Now, there are no servants in USA for 20, 25 years, but in India there are. Most of us have family servants who, lived with us for generations. And therefore, we are asked to respect him also, him or her, irrespective of his competence. He might be just a matriculate and I may be a PhD, but I'm still made to touch his feet because, that is the way in India to show respect. So we have two, components in the Indian society or in the Indian family system where we have extremely protective parents and children who have been taught respect right from the young age. Now, if you combine these two factors, you'll realize why the problems arise in India for parents to manage their adult children. In fact, I am distinctly of the opinion that because of these two things, because these two parameters have many advantages, many advantages in other aspects of family life. But the aspect that we are talking today, it's a great disadvantage. If these two factors are present at the same time, you'll find that Indian adults are fairly more indecisive as compared to the Western adults. The Western adults are far more independent. They take their own decisions because that's how they have been doing since their childhood, or at least since their teenage years. But in India, when children grow up, they are still so used to, asking their parents or some elder uncle or somebody in the family about anything that they have to do. So according to me, we have spawned generations of indecisive adults who cannot tell their parents on their face, ki bhai, don't interfere in my affairs. It's very, very difficult for an Indian grown-up person. He could be the managing director of maybe a 10,000 crore company. But when he comes home and if his older father asks him to do something, that person will more often agree or obey his father because his image of his father is still the same as when he was maybe a 10 or a 20-year-old young adult, and his father, of course, was the Karta Purush of the family. So many problems that Indian families face as far as today's topic of ours is concerned just does not exist in the Western society. Because in the Western society, there are probably no adult children at home. They leave the home at around 15, 16 or 18 or 20 because independence is so fiercely valued in these societies that if a parent or if a child does not leave his parents, then I guess his friends must be looking at him as if he was a queer kind of a person or a weird kind of a person. That is not at all so in the Indian scenario. So what I have done is, instead of giving you a long rambling speech about what you need to do in order to minimize the conflict between adult children and yourself, I have formulated 7 points, and I am calling them as 7 strategies. That if these strategies are employed by any one of us, I expect that these conflicts about which we are talking will definitely get minimized. So I'll get straight into that, because I have budgeted myself for about 35 minutes, out of which the internet has robbed 3-4 minutes by conking off. So let's hope I am able to finish it in 30-35 minutes, and then I'll be open for question and answers questions basically, in case you have any. My first strategy in order to minimize the conflict between you and adult children is, do not advise them unless asked for. Indian parents are terribly interested in advising everybody, leave alone their children. They advise everyone. I mean, if you go to a what I call as a pan tapri, I hope most of you understand when I say pan tapri. You know, in India, on every street there are places where you get betel nuts and pan and tamaku and cigarettes and all those things. If you stand for 10 minutes on a pan tapri, you will find that most of the world's problems are completely discussed and solved. What Modi should do, what Trump should do, how the cricket captain of India should do on the next day of the test, and things like that. So all weighty problems, but they are solved within a few minutes. It is the time that they take to chew the pan completely and swallow it. So all world's problems are solved. So Indians are great advisors. We feel that we are capable of advising anybody on any issue. And therefore, I don't blame the parents. I mean, when we were children, we used to criticize this habit in our parents. But when we become parents and when we become senior citizens, we forget that what we were criticizing earlier is precisely what we are doing. So my first strategy is, do not advise unless asked for. I'm not saying that the children will never ask you for advice, but please wait. Please wait for them to ask you for their advice. If you start giving advice, now what happens is, the definition of the word interference in your private matters has changed across the years. What you considered as interference in your younger age, it has become much more stricter now. The threshold has become much lower. People feel that you are interfering in their lives for many small things, which, remembering your own younger age, you may feel, how have I interfered in your life? So please understand that the definition of the word, in the social definition, the English definition in a dictionary remains the same. But the social definition of interference has changed. Let me give you some specific examples on which you probably will go ahead and advise your adult children on, and they appear very piddly or very trivial kind of instances. But for example, don't advise them on what kind of clothes to wear. You will obviously advise them depending upon what you thought was the right way of dressing, and that is already probably become out of date. You are probably still thinking of 30 years ago, and it's probably no longer relevant. So don't give them advice about clothes. I mean, I'm sure you can depend on your son and daughter, the grown-up adult children, to at least decide the clothes that they can wear. If you go and butt your nose and advise them about the kind of clothes that they should wear, I think you are asking for trouble. Don't advise them about what they should do in politics that happens in the office. You have a grown-up son, he is working in a senior position in the company. You were also working before your retirement in some senior company. Now when he is probably discussing on the dining table with his wife or whatever about some problems that he is having in his office, you consider it your prime job to tell him, I think this is what will work. Please don't do it. Once again, you have become quite irrelevant, because you have not worked in an office now for the last 10-15 years. And the principles that used to work when you were young may not be the same which work today. So office politics is another area where don't try to give advice, because your advice may not be relevant. You may feel happy that I have told my son, but then you will feel sad when he doesn't listen to your advice. And he doesn't listen to your advice because he thinks it is not relevant. So this could be a second thing. Please don't advise them on what is fashionable and what is not fashionable. older parents in India say, "Nane, how come our granddaughter is wearing such dresses? I think she should have a longer skirt." Let them decide. As long as your granddaughter is not going out of the house wearing an indecent dress, in which case maybe you could talk privately to your son or your daughter-in-law or whatever. Generally, leave alone their. So these are the three things that I could think of: clothes, fashion, office politics. Don't give them any advice, because they, first of all, they don't require any advice. Secondly, if you give advice, they will consider it as interference, because, as I said, the social definition of the word interference has changed across the years. Okay, let's go to strategy number 2. Strategy number 2 is what Indian parents are quite good at. So it says strategy 2 is be ready to sacrifice your personal time for their family, which is what we are good at. Because, in our culture, just like respect was one of the things that they taught us, sacrifice also comes at a very high level in the pecking order, as you would say, in the Indian sanskar, as we may call them. We would always like to teach people to be sanskari, and one of the things which is included in that sanskar is the ability to sacrifice. Why do you think people in India fast much more than an American family? We have fasts every 10 days on some occasion or the other. Because in its lowest form, conducting a fast or going on a fast is sacrificing your food. Plus, if you read any of our mythological texts, you will find that sacrifice as a virtue has been placed at a very high pedestal, and rightly so. But we should not be overdoing it. And therefore, one way of minimizing the conflicts with our adult children is to be ready to sacrifice your personal time. As it is, you have retired. As it is, your priorities are far less important than their priorities. So if you sacrifice some of your daily routine in order to, help them conduct their family issues better. For example, your daughter-in-law is maybe working in an office. Your son, of course, is working in an office. And you are a retired person, you're sitting at home. I don't think there is any Indian grandparent who will refuse to look after the grandchildren. The grandchildren have to be sent to office, they need to be fed when they come back. Because on both these occasions, let us say, their parents are not present in the house. So I'm sure, I don't think it requires an Indian parent to be told that you need to look after your grandchild with love. We automatically do it because of what we have been taught right from. So what I call is, I call this nannyship. Nannyship means like friendship. This is nannyship. You become the nanny of your children. You become the governess who looks after, of your grandchildren, sorry, not your children. There are umpteen number of instances where the young couple, maybe they've settled in the US or somewhere, and they send for their parents. Sorry. Why do they send for their Indian parents? So that they could come and stay with them for the allowed 6 months in the visa. And, they could at least look after the grandchildren while both these parents are away to office. There it becomes far more important. In India, though it is not as important as that, because even then, looking after the grandchildren while the parents are away is one of the prime examples where normally Indian parents, but there could be other occasions where you could sacrifice. For example, suppose your son and daughter-in-law want to go and see a Sunday movie outside in the theaters. Nowadays, nobody wants to go there. They want to see it on their TV. But suppose they do. Or they want to go for a play in a theater. Now, you may have that particular day where you probably had a bhajan in the temple. But you can sacrifice that assignment of yours just because your children maybe would be able to go. There are some grandparents whom I have seen, they say, no, I also have my priorities and I can't miss my bhajan meeting. Just like you can't miss your theater performance, I can't miss my bhajan meeting. Fine, it may be true. It may be true that the grandparents do want to go to the temple in order to attend a bhajan or a kirtan or whatever. But I think when it comes as their priority versus your priority, please understand that your priorities are less important because you are in a phase of life where their priorities supersede your priorities. So the earlier you implement this in your interactions with your adult children, automatically things would work out better. Strategy number 3 that I wanted to share with you was, contrary to the feeling, many Indian grandparents, I'm referring to all of us as grandparents because that's what we are, and instead of saying, and I'm sure this talk is directed towards people like us in our age bracket. So the strategy number 3 is, please don't spend your savings on your children. I'm sure you've retired, you've got a retirement fund, you've accumulated money, and you have done a lot of sacrifices in order to accumulate that money because you wanted to live a good and a happy and a contented retired life. I'm sure every person, whether he's in America or anywhere else in the world or in India, has this as one of his objectives, that I need to have a sufficient amount of retirement fund so that I can maintain my standard of living, or at least reasonably maintain my standard of living. I've seen instances where grandparents they get a lot of emotional satisfaction out of lending some of that money to their children in order to buy a house or buy a car or something. They feel they've done a great job. I would advise you, as far as monetary issues are concerned, let your children spend money according to their own plans. Don't try to give a part of your savings to them in order to achieve their dreams. What is more important is that you must continue to be financially independent until you die. There have been a number of instances where the grandparents have donated 90% of their wealth to their children during their own lifetime. And what happens is, when the children receive the money, anybody receiving the money feels great about it. They feel very good about it. But soon, within a month, 2 months, 3 months, some other emergency creeps up. And that time they again ask you for money. And now when you refuse, it is going to be difficult. So please don't spend your savings on your children. Be financially a little cruel. I'm using the word cruel within inverted commas. Don't understand it in any other manner. Your children must learn to, as I said, they must learn to dream within their own means. I mean, if they want to buy a house and the EMI of that house appears too big, and they are not able to afford that EMI, both the husband and the wife who are working, they are not able to pay that EMI. So they come to you saying that, will you help us? According to me, say a firm no. It is difficult to say no, but I think it's better to say no, since it's a financial issue. And you must protect yourself financially. In India there is a rule, I don't know if such a law exists in the USA, I don't think it does. I'm sure it doesn't, because it doesn't match with their norms about how families should be run. In India there is a law where a grandparent, father or mother, can go to the police and register a complaint against their own son or daughter, saying that they are not taking care of me in my old age. I mean, the beauty of this is that I read statistics that against this law, hardly any Indian parents registers complaints. So the law has been made because it has been therefore officially recognized that it's the responsibility of the children to look after their parents in their old age. And in case they are not being looked after, the parent can go and actually make a complaint, file an FIR in the police station. But very, very, very few Indian grandparents do that. So therefore, I'm just telling you, such a law obviously would be completely unnecessary in a country like USA, where automatically people don't take care of their children. Because the father has not taken care of his own father, he doesn't expect his child to take care of him during the old age, and you've got to make your own arrangements. That is the kind of culture which exists there. So without commenting on which one is better or which one is not better, I am suggesting that in India, you must from a younger age teach your children to live. They can dream, of course. One more thing is that when we were young, we did not have these facilities of EMI. So for example, my parents had to buy a house only after they retired in India, because they never had that kind of a money, and the kind of EMIs that are available today online and on the tap were just not available. But today they are available. So it depends upon whether your children can, afford the EMIs. If they can't afford, fine, let them postpone that dream for a few months or a year, and until the time comes when they can afford it. But don't distribute your savings to your children in your lifetime for whatever reason. This leads to a big problem later on. Parents have become paupers as a result of having done this. And why do they do it? As I said, Indians have been, they do it for their emotional satisfaction. That emotional satisfaction does not last more than a month or maybe 2 months. And after that, when they require money, they don't have, because they've already given bulk of it to their children. And if you ask the children to lend them, the children will not, because it upsets their daily budget or monthly budget. So in effect, what you have done is you have ensured that you yourself are, put to a lot of trouble. So when it comes to money matters, though it sounds a little harsh, I would very strongly recommend that whatever savings you have done, please do not distribute those savings amongst your children, bulk of those savings. I'm not saying that don't spend on them. Surely you can spend, because you love to spend money on your own children and grandchildren. So, but that should be within limits. Under no circumstances that whatever you have saved for your own retirement should be distributed. And the most important sentence in this respect is, teach your children to learn to dream within their own means. They should not come running to you saying that, Daddy, please help me and give me 25 lakhs of rupees, I need to do this. And then you keep on wondering, my son has asked me, how can I say no, kind of a thing. Indian parents have those feelings because that's what they were also taught when they were young. So that was strategy number 3. I'll just repeat what I have just said. Strategy number 1 was, do not give advice unless you've been asked for. And we talked of advice on clothes and office politics and fashion or whatever. And then the second one we said was, be ready to sacrifice your personal time for their family, which I don't think Indian parents basically require to be taught. We have a DNA in us whereby we look after our children's families. So that's not a difficult thing to do. But this number 3 is difficult to do. And that is that do not, during your own lifetime, give away your savings or a bulk of your savings to your children, because though it may leave you very emotionally satisfied, it's a bad strategy. Okay, then we go to strategy number 4. I'm going to tell you 7. So we are on strategy number 4. All of us must keep, though we are not giving them money, but all of us must give them the confidence that we are there to help you in any non-financial matter. I'm underlining the word non-financial matter, but we retain the right to define what an emergency is. Your children will come running to you saying that there is an emergency. What is the emergency? I cannot pay the next month's EMI. Why can't you pay the next month's EMI? Because last month I went and took my family to Kashmir. So be firm in this, saying that I will define what an emergency is. What is an emergency? A genuine emergency? Yes. Suppose thieves strike your house and take away maybe 15-20 lakhs worth of goods or money or whatever. Nowadays nobody keeps that kind of money and valuables inside the house, but in case it happens. Or let's say you are an avid investor in the stock market, or rather your son is, and he had made up a corpus of 25 lakhs, and suddenly due to the vagaries of the market, that 25 lakhs has now become 15 lakhs. So he gets panicky. Now, according to him, this is an emergency. According to you, this is not an emergency. You decided to invest your savings in the stock market, so you knew that it's a volatile saving instrument, and then you should be willing now to suffer whatever pros and cons of such a strategy are. It was your strategy, so you suffer the pluses and the minuses both. So the grandparents must retain their right to define what an emergency is. If you only ask your children, for them, as I said, anything would be an emergency. Anything that affects their daily budget is an emergency. So there are many non-financial issues also on which they will explain the issue to you as if the sky has fallen down, which means an emergency. But you said, no, sorry, I don't think this is an emergency situation in which I would like to help you, because this is completely your own doing. This is when you decided in this manner, then I guess you knew that such a situation could arise. So you should have, covered yourself, kind of a thing. So therefore, while you retain the right to define what an emergency is, please do not, just give them the confidence though, that in case you will help them on any non-financial matters, because in non-financial matters also there could be an emergency. And there are many non-financial emergencies which could arise. Suppose the daughter meets with an accident. Now fine, there was medical insurance to cover all the medical expenses, but now there is a emergency in terms of who should take up the work in the kitchen. So maybe the grandmother can say, all right, for the next 2 months I'll manage the kitchen. No problem. I have been doing so for many years, and now the daughter-in-law is in the hospital and there are only 2 males in the house and my grandchildren. I'll take care of the kitchen for 3 months. So that's a non-financial emergency. However, the monthly budget which was being used to stock up in the kitchen continues to be that of the son. So this is a non-financial emergency. Financial emergencies, as I said, in general, do not accept their definition of financial emergencies, but give them confidence that in case there is a non-financial emergency, even if I am staying in Nagpur and my son is in Chennai, I'll shift my residence for 2-3 months in order to help you. This is what a non-financial emergency could be. And this is the confidence that you need to give them. They must have the confidence that in case of a non-financial emergency, my parents would always back me up. But in case of a financial emergency, they are not going to back you up. If you give these two, what shall I say? If you give these two sanskar along with the other sanskars that you give when the child is young or when the child has just entered their teenage years, I think things would be much, much better. And don't feel that your sons and daughters would suddenly look at you as if you were their enemy. They will also understand. They will also understand why you are teaching this to them. Okay. There was a psychological study done about in any given family situation, especially in India, which are the 3 things that son and daughter expects from their resident parents. And I'll just read out the 3 things which they say came out into the survey and were also validated by psychological concepts. What are they looking for? What are your sons and daughters looking for from you? And these are the 3 things, and I'm sure you'll agree with them. They expect understanding from you. Understanding meaning understanding the situation. They expect that from you. And I'm sure they want validation from you. Whatever decisions they take, they want somebody to validate those decisions. So if the son asks you for advice, should I invest in this property? This is what the initial outflow will be. And then every month I will have to pay so much. And you can, discuss with him about what his monthly saving is and will he be able to afford that kind of, because you've gone through that phase yourself. And then you can validate his decision saying that, yes, I agree. Whatever decision you are taking, that instead of buying a 75 lakhs house, you've decided to buy a 55 lakhs house. That 20 lakhs reduction does mean a lot in terms of, so on whether it's a financial matter, whether it's a non-financial matter, our sons and daughters are looking for a validation from us. And that is what we should provide. And validation doesn't always mean agreeing with them. Validation also means that you do an analysis and tell him occasionally that I don't think you should go ahead with this decision. That also is validation. Because validation doesn't mean agreement. He's suggesting something and you agree to that. That doesn't mean, if you are agreeing to that sons and daughters proposal without going and doing a proper analysis, you are actually doing him harm. What is the use of your experience then? Where are you using your experience in order to guide your son and daughter? You're not. You're just agreeing with him because you feel satisfied that I have done my job. And the son feels satisfied because his own father has said yes to the proposal, where basically the proposal itself was faulty. So that is not the kind of validation you are supposed to give. You are supposed to give a validation based on your analysis of the situation. And the third thing that they expect from you is emotional support. So this psychological study said that all parents in the Indian situation, expect these three things from their parents. I'll repeat them: an understanding of the situation, a validation, and emotional support. And I think once we understand that this is what they are looking for, a good test in all these issues is, please think back to the age that what your son today is of. Please think back that you had just got married then maybe 40 years ago you just got married, and how did you look at the situation at that time as the son or daughter of the family, and what all did you ask your parents, and what kind of an advice did your parents give you, vagara vagara. So you could always go back to that situation. Our brain allows us, immediately to step back. Our brain is a very powerful kind of an equipment, organ, and one acid test of that would be that if the grandparents, that means us, if we can think back that when I was 25 and I had faced a similar situation, what had I done, and what had my parents done? I'm not saying that in all cases that may be relevant today, but it's a good habit to go back, because many a times parents completely forget about what they had done in their young age, and they take a completely different decision now. So therefore I'm suggesting this is a good technique of transporting yourself to an earlier age, and trying to examine as to what you would have done or what you had done. Strategy number 5 is something which I think universally is accepted, so you might not find anything very path-breaking in this. All over the world, grandchildren are supposed to be excellent conduits to the hearts of their parents. That means your children. So you have a grandparent, that's us. Then you have your own son or daughter, and then there are grandchildren. And I think universally it is accepted that grandchildren give the maximum pleasure to the grandparents. And I jocularly read at some point that why does this happen? Why are the grandchildren get along so well with grandparents? And that thing said that they get along well with each other because they have a common enemy. Now, who's the common enemy? The son or the daughter. I mean, this is said in a jocular way, so he's not an enemy really. But those grandchildren keep differing with their parents, and your sons and daughter keep differing with you. So therefore, that is what is an enemy is. Now, grandchildren are excellent conduits, towards managing your adult children. Now, if you don't have grandchildren, of course, I guess that is a little unfortunate. But those of us who have grandchildren should use that conduit, because that conduit is also temporary. The grandchildren will soon grow up. Maybe in another 10 years, they will stop listening to you because they will have their own independent thinking. So at that time, and they will also realize that you have probably told or that you have told them something which seems to be going against the wishes of their own parents. All these things will start happening when the grandchildren grow up, where they start thinking about themselves. But there is a phase of about 10 or 12 years, when these grandchildren provide an excellent pathway between your heart and the hearts of your children. And use that pathway. Use that pathway. What you cannot tell directly to your son or daughter, maybe you could tell it through the grandchildren. Maybe it goes to the ears of their parents, and whatever you wanted to convey directly but were a little worried about, anyway reached the right quarters. That's what was important. You were more keen to get your message across to your own sons and daughters, but you use the conduit or the pathway through your grandchildren. But as I said, it's a temporary kind of a pathway. It's not available permanently to you. So while it is available, it's a great pleasure to deal with your grandchildren. I'm sure, I and my wife currently, before coming to Ahmedabad, we spent a week in Pune, where my younger son stays. And we have an 8-year-old granddaughter there who's terribly friendly with us, to the point of making her parents jealous. That means my son and my daughter-in-law. They of course keep saying that good that you are staying here so that now two of us can go for a movie and this. And they said, we tell them, go ahead. While we are here, we'll look after her. And she readily stays with us. Now, this might not happen 5 years later. This might not happen 8 or 10 years later. So while the going is good, please use this pathway to bring about a lot of understanding between your own sons and daughters and yourself. Because they are good, Let's go to strategy number 6. I'm coming towards the end of what I was going to tell you. Strategy number 6 is, there is one term in English which many psychologists and people who have studied families and how families need to be, dealt with, they keep talking of this term. So I'll give you those two terms. That what should be the central policy of grandparents towards the family of their own children? I mean, that is the topic for today for us also. And they said the best thing that you could do is what they call as benign indifference. Benign is loving, kindly. The word benign, if you go to a directory, means with love. And indifference, obviously, I don't need to explain to you what is indifference. So indifference means staying aloof, as if they are not strangers, they are your own children, but staying aloof. What we have said in the beginning, don't give them advice, don't give them money from your own savings, etc., etc. So what do all those things get combined into? It's a kind of an indifference which we show towards sometimes strangers, people whom we don't know. So obviously we cannot show the same amount of indifference to our own sons and daughters. But in a way, we are showing some indifference towards them by making them, by convincing them that we are not going to interfere in your day-to-day decisions. Please live your own life. Now, suppose you're staying in another town, this becomes easier. I am staying in Nagpur, let's say my son is staying in Pune. So we don't get to interfere in his day-to-day life. But whenever they stay together, many sparks flow between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law, or between the father and the son. And one way of reducing those sparks is to adopt an indifferent attitude. But as I'm trying to tell you again and again, this indifference, though it may appear as the kind of indifference that you show towards complete strangers, is not the indifference that you show here, but it is bordering on that. The message that you're trying to give your son or daughter or daughter-in-law or anybody is that don't come running to us for your day-to-day problems. Don't come running to us for your financial decisions. Manage things on your own. Come to us for advice and we'll tell you. And without any strings attached. That means if you don't follow our advice, fine with us. If you follow our advice, even that is fine with us. So this is the kind of attitude which psychologists describe in these two words, that what you should show towards your children is benign, that means loving, but indifference, benign indifference. So remember that this is strategy number 6. You should aspire to show benign, that means loving. You should be lovingly indifferent towards your parents, towards your children, adult children. We are always talking of adult children. We come to the last strategy. Now this is not so much of a strategy, but one more psychological study which has been done, which says that try and avoid these areas of tension. That's exactly what the psychological treatise says. Areas of tension. Obviously, if you avoid the areas of tension in your relationship with your grown-up sons and daughters, then obviously you have managed that relationship excellently, because and you will be minimizing the conflicts. Now, what are these areas of tensions? Actually, this psychological treatise has also designed one term which appears a little humorous. They said the best policy for grandparents is to have a tape on their mouth. Tape on their mouth will allow you not to speak anything, not to interfere into any of their decisions. But that is not what we are literally going to do. We are not going to put a tape on our mouth and go around in the house. They'll consider us weird. But A tape on your mouth seems to solve many problems according to psychologists, which is what we have been discussing. Tape on the mouth kind of a policy is what we have been discussing. But they have identified certain areas, and within the Indian context, these are the areas which will lead to tension in the house, tension between you and your adult children. So I'll just narrate them and I'm sure you'll understand. Because what happens is in these matters, one formula does not fit all families. Because everything depends so much on the way our personality is and the personality of our children is. And let's say a daughter-in-law has come into the family, her personality. So with 2 or 3 different kinds of personalities dealing with each other, no one formula can fit everyone. But these are, what we should take our mind through. In case there are tensions in the house, in case there are conflicts in the house, then your mind should go through, am I doing something wrong on this aspect? Am I doing something wrong on this aspect? And wherever the answer is yes or a partly yes, then try and improve on that aspect so that obviously conflicts will get minimized. Okay, what are these areas of tension? By just knowing the areas of tensions, I guess we'll be able to do a good job of minimizing those tensions and hence minimizing the conflicts. Don't criticize their partner choices. Partner choices means your son has married a girl and you didn't like that, didn't like her choice very much, but since he was insistent, you finally said yes to the marriage, and now she has come to your house as your daughter-in-law. Now I've seen many senior citizens continuing to harp indirectly, this was not the kind of girl I wanted you to marry. I had seen so many dreams about the kind of girl you will marry. So this is what is known as partner's choices. It could also work the other way. Your daughter has married a man whom you don't like. And there may be n number of reasons for you not to like the partner of your son or daughter. He could be from a different religion, he could be from a different caste, he could be from a different geographical area. Maybe he is not matching in height with your son or daughter. So from small things to big things, there could be many reservations in your mind. If there are no reservations, of course, then this point can be ignored. But generally, this psychological study has found that Indian parents tend to criticize the partner choices of their sons and daughters. And this leads to a lot of conflict and tension. Obviously, it will. Suppose you start criticizing my wife. I'm just putting myself in the shoes of that young person. Suppose my father or my mother starts criticizing my choice, then what kind of a girl have you brought? Privately, may not be in front of her, but I understand, I sense that this partner of mine is not very well liked by my parents. So what this psychological study is suggesting is, now that the marriage has taken place, and now that the decision has been taken by your son, why are you interfering in that? Are you suggesting that they divorce at this stage? No, you don't want things to go to that extent. So even if you have not liked the choice, it is like saying, I'll quote a ridiculous example just to exaggerate my point. Suppose you like bundi ka laddu and I like sweet lassi. Suppose, or I like balushahi. You like bundi ka laddu, I like balushahi. Now, can we criticize each other's choices? Can I convince you that balushahi is much better than bundi ka laddu? I cannot. Everything for himself. You cannot explain why you like bundi ka laddu. Suppose I put both of you in a room and say your assignment for the next 20 minutes is you are going to convince him that bundi ka laddu is better than balushahi, and you are going to convince him that balushahi is better than bundi ka laddu. After 20 minutes when you come out of the room, I want one answer from you. Is bundi ka laddu better or balushahi better? Impossible situation. No, you cannot do that. Because we are not liking these things logically. There is no logic involved in that. I can't prove to somebody that, look, because of these 5 things, a bundi ka laddu is superior. Because here we are talking of a concept called taste. And every taste of every different person is different. Without his being able to explain about why he likes a particular thing. It could be an eatable, it could be anything else. Similarly, it could be the partner. Many a times we go to marriage receptions, we say, what has this boy seen in this girl? He could have got a much better bride. We go to the marriage reception and talk amongst ourselves. And then we say, but he seems to be liking her very much. Who are you to feel that his liking and his choice is not right? So therefore, there are certain, in psychology, these are known as irrational choices. Suppose I like a girl, I like it, others may not like her. This is an irrational choice. That means I cannot logically explain to somebody as to why I like this girl. But others feel free to comment saying that he could have got a better match, and the girl could have been more educated, she could have been better looking. But he thinks she is a Apsara. So who are you to tell him that she is not an Apsara? So therefore, what I am saying is, one area of tension which may come about is this. When you tend to criticize, and even if you do not openly criticize, many a times you go around in the house passing comments and this, that and the other, whereby our sons and daughters are also smart people. They understand. Even if you may not have said this in so many words, they understand that they are not, my parents are not liking my spouse's choice. So according to them, put a tape on your mouth when it comes to discussing partners' choices, because you have no say in that. If you were so against this person coming into your family, then you should not have allowed the marriage to take place, or allowed the son to stay somewhere else and marry a person of his choice. Either do that. Once that things have happened, I don't think now you should continue cribbing about why you don't like that person. So partners' choices is one. The second area of tension is life choices. Life choices means your son or daughter wants to make a particular career, and you are dead against him or her making that career. You don't want him to go into Bollywood films, and he is insisting, saying that I am a good actor, I have done very well in the local plays, and now I want to go to Bombay and take a chance about whether I'll be successful in Hindi films. And you keep telling him, don't do that, beta. The rate of success in a Bollywood or in maybe whatever in your Madras film industry is very, very less. So I think at the end of 10 years, you might still be, working as an extra in the film, and that is surely not what you have got, why you had gone to Mumbai or Madras or wherever. So therefore, that is a life choice. Some person wants to get into the merchant navy, or he wants to get into the army, and the parents keep on dissuading him. No. An army career cannot be good. You will be on the border. Someday you will die. It's a risky career. It is not a risky career at all. Because if you compare the statistics of number of people who have died after joining the army versus the number of people who died on the roads driving a car, you will find that the driving car activity is far more risky than joining an army. But in those days, nobody is willing to, go by what statistical conclusions are. They will just say, no, I can't allow you to join an army or whatever. So therefore, especially the life choices that your son and your daughter-in-law make after the marriage, because I don't think you can advise him. And just like my own son, I can give you an example in a minute of my own son. My son did his PhD from Minnesota Twin Cities, University of Minnesota Twin Cities. And after doing his PhD in computer graphics, he had an interview call from Microsoft. So he went to Seattle. They have their own methods of interviewing. You have to meet 3-4 departmental heads. By the end of the day, he was told that we are employing you. So he rang me up from there, because at that stage he used to still value his dad's advice. Nowadays he doesn't. So he rang me up and he said, what should I do? They have given me a week to say yes or no. And then I said, all right, all that I can help you with is that on the phone, I will take the opposite position and discuss with you. And I'll try and convince you to join them, because he didn't want to join them. He said, I love teaching. So I want to get into the teaching profession. So I said, fine, you give me the pluses and minuses just like they do in a debate. This is a formal debate between you and me. You give me pluses and minuses of a teaching profession, and I'll give you the pluses and minuses of a corporate position like in Microsoft. And then I said, let's talk for half an hour. Most of the points that we have in our mind will come out, and then I'll leave the decision to you. My portion of the debate is just to tell you the other side of the story, not to convince you that you must join Microsoft or must not join Microsoft. So he liked that system. So we discussed for half an hour today. Then I said, okay, tomorrow again we'll have a small discussion. And that's it then. I have told you everything that I could. And I am taking a devil's attitude. I am deliberately going opposite to what you are thinking so that you get to see the opposite side of the story. And then I said, now the decision is yours. So that, you cannot blame anyone else for the decision that you took. 15 years later, you will say, oh, had I joined Microsoft. So he chucked up that job. I mean, he did not accept the Microsoft job. And he has become a professor in Northeastern University. He stays at Boston. So he's done very well for himself because his first love was teaching. So I said, fine, I mean, you take the decision. I'll only be the devil's advocate by arguing on the other side. So I think that is a good position to take. You can help your sons and daughters take a decision by deliberately taking the opposite point and debating with them, instead of criticizing their choices after they have taken the decision. I have trained both my sons to be like that. That I said the decision will be completely yours, but I will be the devil's advocate whenever an opportunity comes for you to take a decision. The third thing that you should not do is to compare him or her with their siblings. Look how your elder brother has become so successful in life and you are floundering here only. He did this, why don't you also do it? Comparison is meaningless because everyone's strengths are different, everyone's personality is different, though they are your own sons and own daughters, but their thinking on these matters would be completely different. So therefore, never compare them. Some of our siblings may be very successful. So you can't always quote that example saying that, look, how successful he has become, how rich he has become, because it will, sort of put a germ of jealousy into the mind of that other son whom you are comparing with this successful son. So you know that, okay, one of your sons has been very successful. That doesn't mean the second chap has to completely copy his career path in order to become equally successful. Who knows? Even by doing everything that his elder brother did, this person may not be as successful. So as a parent, you need to understand that comparison should be ruled out. There can be no comparison between one of your sons with another of your sons because both of them are completely different entities, though they have come out of you and your wife. And by understanding that itself, you would have reduced one more area of tension. And the last area that they have found out about the area of tension, I have told you 3. Don't criticize their partner's choices, whom they have married, etc. Don't criticize any of their life choices. Help them make a life choice, but don't criticize it once the son or daughter has accepted one. Don't compare that person with his brothers and sisters. Never do that. And this is the last one. Don't criticize their strategies of child rearing. Most of the grandparents are unhappy with either their son or the daughter, saying that this is not how you should raise your child. That means your grandchild. Because your daughter-in-law will feel very dejected, saying that my mother-in-law is not happy at all at the way I am raising my own daughter or my own son. And the mother-in-law constantly interferes, saying that no, when I was young, this is what was done, and therefore you should also do it like this. Please understand, your thoughts have become fairly irrelevant because they were applicable 30 years ago. There is no guarantee that all of them will be applicable today. So do not criticize their child rearing strategies. You can help them if they ask you for advice. One of the points we said that you can give advice only if you are asked. So if the daughter-in-law specifically comes to you to ask for your advice, saying this is the problem, what do you suggest, ma? Then you give her the advice saying that this is how I would have solved the problem and leave it at that. If she still doesn't agree to what you have said, fine, it is her decision. Don't feel bad that she has rejected my advice as if World War III has started. You give an advice with a completely neutral outlook, saying that I have given my advice, this is how I would have solved this problem, but basically the decision is going to be yours. This kind of an attitude leads to very happy families. So I am at the end of my talk. I did mention I repeated the first 3. Let me repeat the last just in terms of one line each. Or I'll repeat all the 6 so that you remember. I said do not advise unless asked for, because the definition of interference has substantially changed across the last 25-30 years. What was not considered as interference then is considered as interference today. Second strategy, we said be ready to sacrifice your personal time for their family, because your time and your priorities are less important than their time and their priorities. Please accept that you might have been the managing director, but now you're retired. So your son's priorities are more important. Thirdly, financially, please be very prudent. Do not give away your financial savings to your children, because there have been many instances where parents have done that and they have felt sorry about it, but nothing can be done to reverse it. Fourthly, give them confidence that you are there to help them in all non-financial cases, except, as I said, children will come running to you saying that there is an emergency. You may say, I am sorry, according to my definition, this is not an emergency. So retain the capability of defining what an emergency is, but at the same time give them the confidence that you will be there standing behind them in case of difficult times. And then we said that the 3 main things that your children expect from you: one is validation of what they are doing, understanding from you about what they are doing, and an emotional support. And we gave some examples, so I'm not repeating them. The 5th strategy was that grandchildren are absolutely excellent, pathways to the hearts of your own sons and daughters. So use them, because this is a temporary pathway available to you for maybe not more than 10 years. Use them to the fullest. You will be lucky if you are able to use your grandchildren even when they themselves become adult. Then you are a lucky grandfather. But if when they become adult, your own sons and daughters would have become senior citizens, and they would have started facing the same problem that you are facing and for which we are talking or discussing today. Then we said strategy number 6 is the one thing that needs to guide you are these 2 words called benign indifference. This is supposed to be the best policy to deal with your children. Benign means loving. Indifference means keeping aloof, keeping away, not interfering with them, giving them advice only when they ask you, vagara, vagara. And last we said, if you want to minimize the conflict, please keep track of these 4 areas which generate the maximum number of conflicts. And which are these 4 areas? Criticizing their partner's choices, criticizing their life choices, comparing them with their siblings, meaning brothers and sisters, and sometimes need not be siblings, you can be comparing them with your elder brother's son, and that is equally bad. Don't compare them with anybody. Everyone is a complete packet in itself, and everyone needs to be taken a different decision for. And finally, don't criticize their strategies of how they are bringing up their own children, because when you criticize that, they feel very upset, they feel very unsettled, that that is not what my parents my parents don't seem to be agreeing with the way I am bringing up children, and things like that. It leads to more conflict. So thank you very much, and please remember this, that no one formula fits everyone. No one formula fits everyone. So consider all these things, find out which are the ones that apply to your situation, and take selective action. And I am sure you would have done your best in order to minimize the conflicts in your own house. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Prakash Ji, for your thing. Umagaru, would you like to take over and have the question answer session moderated?
I would request Dinesh Ji. He would moderate the question answers today.
Sure.
Okay.
It'll be my honor. Does anybody have a question? We don't need to type it in. You can speak it out. We have what? How much time we have? 20 minutes or so? About 15 minutes.
About 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes. Anybody have a question that you want to ask?
Yes.
Go ahead. Please give your name and then ask the question. Hello? Who said yes? Who was going to ask question? Please
He's
unmute
muted.
yourself. Yeah. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear?
Now we can. Yes, now we can. Go ahead.
Wonderful picture. given by Sheshji. What I would like to say after hearing the whole lecture, my only advice is after hearing the whole lecture, don't interfere with our grandchildren or our son. If you keep quiet, things will always be smooth and there will not be any trouble between them. This is all I wanted to say after hearing the whole lecture. Thank you.
Okay, so that coincides with what that psychological study said. Put a tape on your mouth. That's what you are suggesting, Dr. Sharma?
Exactly. That is the attitude we should develop to keep ourselves happy.
Shobana, you have your hand raised. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, very good advice. I know I'm Indian mother. My children brought up here and I always advise them. And I know we have a habit and I have to learn that. I'm still learning. But one thing I want to add is praise them also. Your grandchildren do small things, you praise them. So that's what is good for them. Even it is small, may not be big for us, but praising
Good
is
idea.
also good.
Especially in America, always praise. That's definitely.
Yeah.
Who has another next question? Anybody ready to ask question? I'm trying to move with the screen. Yes, I saw a hand raised. Please give your name and ask a question.
Yeah, good morning, sir. I am Raghavendra from Hyderabad.
Uh-huh.
In the olden days, family means it is grandparents, parents, and grandchildren. In these days, the joint families are turning into nuclear families. In the present scenario in India, divorce rate is increasing. Divorce rate. So, what is your advice to the children to have a family?
No, I would not. If you're expecting me to say that nuclear families are better or joint families were better, I think that debate is worthless because depending upon the social situation, depending upon our industrial development, this has become as a byproduct. We did not choose to be, nuclear families that I and my wife stay in Nagpur, then my elder son is at Boston and my younger son is at Pune, and they have their own families of 2 or 3. Now, this has all happened because of industrial development. So, let's not get into that in the sense this will keep on happening. Something may happen even further. But as of now, therefore, you must take this as a given situation that the current situation will have, this is exactly what will happen. Now, all the points that I have said are valid, but slightly lesser valid because most of the time you are not in contact with your sons and daughters, so the areas of conflict are as it is reduced. Because when you are daily interacting with them, there could be more conflicts. But now, if I am staying at Nagpur and someone is staying at Pune, my son, then we are not into conflicts on a daily situation. So you must give them an impression that any time they feel like you could shift base, not base, you could come and stay with them for a month or two if that's good, if that is going to help them. This is especially true of the families which are staying in America. As I said, they sometimes call their parents from India so that the grandchildren could be looked after in a much better fashion than what those cradle houses of theirs can do. So, depending on the situation, the intensity of the strategies that I talked about will either go down or go up. But basically, whether it's nuclear family or a joint family does not solve all your problems. Joint families have some problems of their own. So we'll not get into that. Some other day I will talk to you about the pluses and minuses of nuclear versus joint families. But as I'm saying, every point that I said is valid in today's situation also, where you have nuclear families.
Thank you. That's a good answer. Next, yes, go ahead. I see it. Mr. Vepaji, unmute yourself. Please unmute. Yes, go ahead.
Sir, I thoroughly enjoyed all that you have spoken in a very practical manner. Your advice on finance was par excellence. I think the generation in which we are, the third generation, the grandparents' generation, I think each one of us should be able to manage our finances till the end by ourselves. Chipping in where necessary, yes, you can do it. I greatly appreciate the advice you're giving.
Thank you so much. I would just like to add a sentence which I did not say while in the main talk, that whatever distribution of your own finances you want to do, you can always write a will. So that, after you, the finances would really go to the quarters that you want them to go. I was only, I was only telling you the dangers of distributing your wealth during your own lifetime. It should be a strict no. Don't distribute your wealth while you are alive.
Absolutely true. But writing a will is also exceptionally important. I wholly endorse that. For the simple reason, your wishes are recorded, but they will kick in only after you kick the bucket, not before.
They're seeing my hand.
Ramanji, are you trying to ask a question? Ramanji, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Should be a different attitude when you have only sons or when you have only daughters.
Please elaborate on that. Elaborate on that one. What point are you trying to make on that? How is it different from boys to girls?
Definitely, because we are only sons. We're going to have only daughters-in-law. If you have only daughters, mostly you don't have much say in what you want to tell them.
Yes, you are right. If you have only daughters, according to me, your problems are lesser than people who have only sons.
That's why, because I have only daughters, that's why I'm telling you that.
So you are lucky. You are lucky that,
Yeah.
because the daughters have gone outside your home and they have established their own families, and your advice is not being sought as much as it would have been if you had only sons.
And also prevents your most important thing, not to express criticism on the partners of your children.
Yeah, I think that point was made by Prakashji. That point was made. I have a related question to this one. And my question is that you have produced children, and hopefully on an evolutionary scale, they're doing better than you are. Generally, we are finding children are, better positioned, especially in America, children, because they're second generation. And they know inside out of what your life is. And if you are, say, well-to-do, have good amount of wealth, and some child needs help, why would you hold that back? In this regard, I feel Buddha's middle path. Don't give everything away, but don't save everything that will go to them when you die. Why not take a middle path? You see, if one child needs help in buying a house because they don't make as much money, why not help them now rather than wait till it was just mentioned that I'll give you everything when I kick the bucket and you can have it all? Why not do the middle path?
I agree with you. I mean, it's a matter of judgment. It's a matter of judgment. Because I only was warning against giving away all your wealth to get emotional satisfaction of having helped your children. That will leave you as a pauper and completely dependent on the same children, for whom you will no longer be a top priority after maybe 1 year or 6 months, because they have their own problems. Looking after you, of course, they would not say no. In India, they would not say no, but they would do so reluctantly. So you should retain the capability of looking after yourself should a situation arise. I have no objection to taking a middle path, especially if you are fairly wealthy. All the problems that I have mentioned become less sharp, the moment you call yourself as fairly wealthy, because you have more assets to distribute then. So it's not a rule that don't give a single rupee to your parents. What Mr. Dinesh says is also acceptable. That in his judgment, why not help somebody while he is alive by ensuring that it doesn't make him a pauper while he is alive?
Well, there is another saying. If you have a good son, you don't need to give him anything. If you have a bad son, you can give him everything and it'll amount to nothing. So you have to
Correct.
use a lot of common sense. And in that regard, I feel you should become friends with your children also. Don't be that I'm the big guy, old guy, the dad, and you are the next in hierarchy, and all decisions get made by me. Be friends with them and share what's going on with their life and your own life, and how you want to see your old age be properly treated by them, not just financially, but also in
Well,
terms of respect and
One point on this point, and one point on the tell, by giving like this, the other son may get jealousy on you. Why he has given, he seems to have more.
I think between children you should have fairness. You shouldn't be giving one child. There should be
that
fair.
point again. Yeah,
Yeah,
otherwise there's
that
a
part.
problem.
Okay. I see a
Exactly.
hand up here on Zarinath. आपका हाथ ऊपर है. Please unmute yourself and ask question.
आप हिंदी में भी मुझसे बात कर सकते हैं. मेरी हिंदी काफी अच्छी है. ऐसा मैं जस्ट एक इन जनरल स्टेटमेंट कर रहा हूँ.
True. Either Hindi or English is acceptable. Somebody had hand up, so I guess they're not there. Anybody else have a question? I'm looking at the screen. Yes, I did see another hand go up. Please unmute yourself. Yes.
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. We can.
My name is Subramaniam. See, I really enjoyed this topic listening to you, Prakash sir. And my opinion is only very straightforward as a human. Love comes first. Because nature has made us bond with our kids. We cannot, like whatever you are telling is with respect to your kids. I would think of it with respect to my kids. Do you agree on that point? Like we cannot think about our neighbor kids on the same platform, right? So when we are
Correct.
when we are talking about our own children, there is a natural instinct to sacrifice everything for their benefit. So in that scenario, suppose if we show them that affection, that we are ready, whatever we have earned that has got no relevance. Suppose if our child has got an accident, we will not look at our, what we need to save at that time. We are ready to give even the last penny to protect our children's life. And in reverse scenario also, suppose if we are, we have made them grow in a loving environment. Suppose if we are in trouble, they will also be ready to take care of us at any cost. They don't want to lose us. So that is my outlook. What is your opinion on this point, sir?
No, my opinion is fine. Both examples that you gave were of medical emergencies. So medical emergencies are different than the non-financial emergencies that I was talking about. But you're right. Suppose your son or a daughter meets with an accident and suddenly requires a large amount of money to be spent, and you don't have medical health insurance or something, and if that is the time the parents step in and say, all right, we will, because his or her life is more important to us, and we want to spend money on them, which is perfectly fine. So please, medical emergencies have a different outlook of their own. So leave alone medical emergencies. Please imagine that the talk that I gave was for all non-medical emergencies. Because medical emergencies, you don't need to take a decision at all. The decision is clear and stares you at your face. It's not as if you won't want to spend for your children. You will probably become a beggar and spend everything for them. That is fine. That love and emotional support is fine.
Yeah,
I was going to even suggest your next talk should be not minimize conflict, but maximize love between the family members. We would like to, at the next, whenever opportunity we get, subject should be maximize love with the family. And Dr. Harinath had his hand up. I would like him to ask the last question. Dr. Harinath.
Dineshji, may I ask?
Sure, go ahead. Shailaji, go ahead.
I just wanted to add to his comments that I know emotionally we want to sacrifice everything to our children and grandchildren, but listening to friends, elders, and so many people around us, and even seeing the movies and dramas, there is one sentence from one very popular Marathi drama. It says, give everything, but don't ever give your your board on which you are sitting. That means don't give your home, your assets to your children. And that is in my head, it fixed so much. And my husband also tells me, be careful, don't get so much emotionally involved. So I like your talk very much. Thank you very much.
The talk is very good, but I also would like to add, because there have been so many instances, just as Mr. said, he said ki love is the main thing, that love may be the main thing, but what we see in so many families, the children have betrayed their parents. That's why there is a need to secure. Otherwise, there was no need for this talk at all. Because in our times, it never happened that the children will not take care of their parents. But since this has been happening, children have been looting their parents, sometimes even real instances where the son came, sold all the property, took the mother, I am taking you to America or England, and left her at the airport.
I will just.
It's a real story. It's a real
story. I agree with that, but I'll give a contrary view. Many parents are leaving money, like I could tell people living in America, our parents are leaving money in India. And then we have to go fight in courts and do all kinds of jump through hoops to collect that money, because they had the suspicion that if I give this money away today, tomorrow I won't have anything. But the counter effect is we have to now fight the system, come the notaries and this letter or that letter, and so much time is wasted on getting that money that could have,
but
if there was
is a
trust.
Government problem. This is not the problem of social.
But it's still a problem. I mean, people spend years. I have so many friends, they say they are fighting. Anyway, we are getting close to the time. Umaji had given me instructions that 5 minutes before the end of the program, she wants to do her vote of thanks here. Umaji, floor is yours. You are
unmute
muted,
చేసుకోండి ఉమా గారు, unmute చేయండి.
Yeah. So as Prakash ji mentioned, though it had a glitch in the beginning, the talk went off so well and we all enjoyed it. And I think we did not realize that 1 hour has gone by listening to you. It was a very structured talk. I think you have made it so structured that probably all these points were put in a very proper perspective. It was excellent, to say the least, and it has generated so much of enthusiasm among the members for raising questions and clarifications. Thank you so much, Prakash ji, for joining us from Ahmedabad inside your other meeting, sparing time from your other meeting.
Management school has done a lot of good here.
Yeah. And
I will tell.
I think
yesterday.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Umaji, you go ahead.
Yeah, that is one aspect I thought. And as someone mentioned, we really look forward to hearing more lectures from you at Possible. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much once again. And I think we need to clap for the speaker for today. He's given a wonderful presentation and made this meeting a memorable one. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much. I was just wanting to mention that yesterday we felicitated 3 of our teachers. Our batch graduated 50 years ago, but we still have 3 teachers who are alive. So we felicitated them. So I'll convey to them Umaji's view that the Management Institute has done a lot of good on you. You means us. So I'll tell them that their teaching apparently has worked.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Shailaji, where are you from? Because I just wanted to check. You said you are a Marathi, because my mother tongue is also Marathi. So I just wanted to tell you.
Me and my husband, we are from Pune.
Oh, you're from Pune. Fine. My younger son stays at Pune. So I'll be going back to him and stay for 6-7 days and then go to Nagpur.
Yeah, and the drama, the play I was talking about was Natasamrat.
Yes, I have seen that.
Marathi it says, don't ever give your patala काय म्हणायचं board to sit in, the house, whatever your assets, don't give it to to your children. That was the very important message from the
Ganesh ji, hello?
Yes. Yes, go
Sir,
ahead. Go ahead.
my
Anji.
brother Prasad Vepa
Yeah.
passed out in the first
Oh,
batch
oh,
from
oh,
Ahmedabad.
oh,
He
हेलो
lives in
Uma-
Cupertino.
दिनेश जी मैं शशि बोल रही हूँ हेलो
Anji.
मेरा वीडियो ऑफ है क्योंकि अभी मैं
Just 1 minute. I need to tell Umaji, अगर आप जाना चाहती हैं, seems like there is more discussion to be had
No,
here.
I just want to formally thank all the people, all our leaders of all the Foswell chapters in India. Particularly, this meeting was made available so that we all could join together, and all members of the Foswell India chapters who joined us today. And thank you to Anand Kumar ji for introducing our distinguished speaker, and Sarma ji for introducing Prakash Shesh ji to us for this meeting, to Subbarao Garu for really coming in and saving the situation. My internet has been bad because of bad weather in Chennai for the past few days. Thank you so much. I want to thank Suchitra ji for reading the prayer, and of course Dinesh ji for the question and answer session. I'm very thankful for that. And
Before
all
we close,
members of Cupertino, California, who have joined. I know it is getting late in the night there. Thank you so much. And of course, wishing you all Merry Christmas and a very, very happy New Year 2025. Thank you. Thank you so
thank
much.
you,
Dinesh ji
Umaji.
will continue.
No, I want to say one thank you, the biggest thank you to Umaji. She has been the major pillar that has held Foswell together. And for India, Subbarao-ji and Sarma-ji have done great job, and Professor Iyer. But Uma is the main glue that has kept this organization going. And the 300 celebration credit goes mostly to Uma Seshadri ji. Thank you, Umaji. I know you have to get
Thank
to
you.
another
Thank
meeting.
you. Now
So,
I would like to take leave. Dinesh ji
But-
will be available. You can continue if time permits. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
we
you
can have
so much.
a little more discussion. We can have a little more discussion.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Okay, and those of you who want to stay, please, you're welcome to stay. But if you have something urgent to go to, please don't feel bad about leaving the meeting also. So with that, who was wanting to make Shashi Prabha Kapoor, and this is Raj Kapoor, the 100th anniversary. So Shashi ji, welcome and ask your question.
दिनेश
Go
जी
ahead.
मैं
हाँ जी।
वीडियो ऑन नहीं करूंगी लेट नाइट हो गया अभी
No worries,
Hello?
no worries.
Okay.
Yeah, just ask the
I'm
question.
audible.
हाँ जी,
Oh,
आ गई आपकी
Then,
वीडियो आ गई. अच्छा,
yeah.
Go ahead,
चलिए,
ask the question.
चलिए देन बहुत प्यारा डिस्कशन था ऐसा लगा फैमिली में बैठ के बहन भाइयों के बीच में बात कर रहे हैं इट वाज रियली फ्रूटफुल एंड हेल्पफुल एंड रियली गुड गाइडेंस तो मुझे so many questions they were in my mind. I got answers from all of you, like passing our things and will and how to make the will and what time is what the proper time to do it. Shaila ka comment सबका and it was really good. प्रकाश जी ने बहुत अच्छा बताया बीच में मैं ऑफलाइन भी हो गई थी थोड़ी देर के लिए. So overall, very good discussion and very useful. It was so close to.
Oh, कट गई आवाज आपकी.
With your permission, I just wanted to alert the people who are in India. Some sweeping changes in the laws connected with the banking accounts have just gone through the parliament. They are yet to be notified after it's approved by the president, particularly with regard to nominations. I request the people living in this country, in India, to pay special attention to the new rules which will be notified before long. But one thing must be remembered, a nomination, as very clearly stated in various judgments of the Supreme Court, shows the hand that receives the asset, but that does not confer the ownership or the title. It is another matter if the nominee also is a beneficiary. It's another matter totally different. Just keep this at the back of your mind. See what the new laws are and then proceed accordingly. I just wanted to alert the people who are in this country to these changes which are coming up. Thank you, sir.
Just to give you a context, Dinesh ji,
Anji.
for those who do not know, Mr. Kamesam is the former managing director of State Bank of India, which is the largest bank of the country, and he was also the deputy governor of the Reserve Bank of India. So he brings a lot of a wealth of knowledge relating to financial matters. So just to give you a context of his advice.
Thank you, Mr. Subbarao.
Thank you. I have one more comment here. It came from a WhatsApp message, but I like that one. And the message basically said, before you leave this world, give everything away. Not only money, not only houses, not only your wisdom, not only your experiences that where you have learned something. Share that with your children, of course, first, but even with the community at large, with your friends. But give it away. Don't leave the world holding on to things tightly that, oh, I learned this thing, nobody should else know about it, or do this or do that. And again, I say the word common sense. Don't give everything away, but don't hang on to everything either. That, oh my God, something might happen. I may need $1 billion to survive, or $1 million, or $10 million. If you have $10 million and you think million will be enough or 2 million will be enough, why not share the remaining $8 million with your children now when they are young? Because these days, our children will, by the time we die, say in 90s, they are into 70s. And if we leave all that money, what will they do with that money? They will be then handing on to the, so why not, especially if they need it? My feel is, have a good head on your shoulders, use common sense, but don't hang on to everything either. That's, again, I feel strongly about that. I wanted to bring that.
But Dinesh ji, you can also give it to the community you are in.
But if children need it first, I think the family, there is a sequence in which you go. You give, if family needs it first, give it to them. Then, of course, take care of the community, various charitable organizations that are close to your heart. But if your family needs it first, and immediate family or even distant family, mame ka ladka, chache ka ladka, if they're going through a hard time and you have some money, don't hesitate to spread it now rather than expect it to be spread after you're gone from this world.
Subhash is trying to say something. Subhash
only discussion बढ़ जाता है. No, I won't say. Who will decide need कि उनकी कितनी जरूरत है? आप कितनी जरूरत पड़ने देंगे?
आप उनके parents हैं, you know it. I mean, if you're close to the family, this was one
if
of the.
If you are a member of the world, you also know the suffering of so many. True. Why just if the children are enough, they can survive nicely. They can live in decent living. Then they will need only for luxury, not for their need. And the world needs too much more from you what you can afford.
Dinesh ji, may I say something, Dinesh ji?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I would agree with Dinesh ji in what he is advocating, and I'll illustrate it with an example of a friend's family which is undergoing so much difficulty and agony. The parents left considerable amount of assets in India without a will or a clear distribution. And the parents passed away when they were in their 90s. And in India, especially, the laws are so difficult. The succession, the Hindu Succession Act and all comes into play. They have to run around the courts, and that's what Dinesh was alluding to. It is consuming a lot of their time, and two of the siblings are in the US, one is in Netherlands. They are unable to come together to attend court, and they are almost at a point saying, we don't want any of this, can somebody just take it away? So I think it makes a lot of sense. What Dinesh says is, one, if there is a need, and again, common sense, right? There is no, and Prakash ji has mentioned it more than once, that one solution doesn't fit all. It depends on that particular family. And somebody mentioned about, I think Dr. Sharma mentioned about jealousy of the other siblings. all that you consider, you are parents, you know the strengths and weaknesses of each child, who needs more at that particular point. Maybe one of them has a child, that is your grandchild, who's not doing so well, so they need more. Or maybe one of the eldest child has taken care of the parents for a long time, so spent more money. Use your judgment. I think Dinesh also used the word, you have to be fair. As long as you're fair in the distribution, it makes sense, in my opinion, to distribute things while you're alive, especially because longevity has increased. People are living till 80s, 90s, 95. Your own children are 70s. Even if you give it to them after you leave, they are in no position to travel the world or indulge in anything. So I endorse what Dinesh ji says, with the caution that Prakash ji has mentioned. Keep a little for yourself, for your medical care, assuming you'll be having to take care of yours. Keep that bare minimum, which means you have sufficient wealth to distribute. But if you don't have, take care of yourself first. I think that's sound advice from Prakash ji. That's my view.
And Shala
Mr.
supported that
Subbarav,
point.
this again brings me to the put in focus the point of writing out a clear distribution and not to leave things open-ended. I
Very
think one has to make up your mind in writing out a document for yourself, whichever way you want. That's entirely yours. But please leave a document behind and not leave the problems.
I take that to next step also, not just documenting. अपने बच्चों के साथ दोस्ती ऐसी बनाओ कि you can sit there and talk about these things. Don't, because if you put in a document and you give 80% to one kid and the 20% to the other kid, they will be killing each other and that's not your intent कि मरने के बाद आपके बच्चे आपस में लड़ रहे. You shouldn't be doing that also. So if you're going to give 20%, tell him right now, okay, babe, you didn't do much for me and this person needed more or served me more or has more love for things. Talk to them now rather than leave it for relatives to resolve those issues or those children to resolve those issues. Be friends with them. One of the advice I give to my children is put ways together to have vacation together so that they get to love each other. That they are your children. They should be friends with each other rather than holding this thing. Oh no, mom favored him at this time and she doesn't care about me. The girls say, oh, mom is boy-centric or whatever. Don't leave these feelings behind. Share them with them right now. Build those relationships.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
talking
true.
too much, so I'm going to stop at that.
One
Sarmaji.
thing, can I
Well,
say
I
something?
personally feel what
Just a minute, Shobana, Sarmaji.
Dinesh advice is very good. Be frank, discuss with them what is good, what is bad. And when you are there only, it is better to settle your wealth issues than rather than after you die. That's not at all a proper suggestion in the present circumstances. So that is what my opinion. This will also clearly, they will have no misunderstanding among themselves. There will be harmony and a very good life. That's it. Thank you.
Shobanaji, you go ahead.
Yeah, I changed the subject that now the children are older, but you are experienced in your life and they are doing mistake and you know they are doing mistake. But how can you tell them? They don't like that and you want, and you know that is a mistake. I don't know how to handle that.
Very tactfully. You have to go ahead, Prakashji.
If you think that they are making mistakes and you are sure that they will not like your pointing out those mistakes, openly, then best is to take them aside and tell them, this is what I feel, take it or leave it. If you don't think this is a mistake, go ahead and do whatever you want to. He probably does not think it is a mistake. So that is what I'm saying, that the definition of interference has changed over 30 years. So if you genuinely feel, tell him and say, if you want to take the advice, take it. If you don't want to take, don't take it.
Yeah, in a very open-ended way. In an open-ended way, don't.
Because there is always this possibility that he or she may differ from you about what you think is a mistake. They don't think it's a mistake.
Yeah, I do that. Same thing, I do it. I just
Hmm.
put my thought about it and just keep quiet.
And
So,
an easier
Well,
way, and sometimes it is easier to write it out and give them that piece of paper saying इसे पढ़ लो, इसमें मुझे जो लगता है वो मैंने लिख दिया है, अब आपको पढ़ता है तो उस पे अमल करो, नहीं पढ़ता है फाड़ कर फेंक दो.
बिल्कुल ठीक है.
my children, they are smarter than they think they are smarter than me, so they take their own decision.
It is tough. It's not easy. But at the same time, जैसे आपने कहा, we have technology tools available these days. So if you can't express it easily, email लिख दो या text लिख दो या WhatsApp पे लिख दो कि मेरे दिमाग में ये ख्याल आते हैं in a very positive way कि ये चीज जो आप कर रहे हैं, wouldn't it be better if it was done this way or that way? Be tactful about it, but don't hold back the opinions. Share them with your children.
Dinesh,
Hanji.
I think it is time to close even for India time also. Kindly look up.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all again. I'm sorry if I expressed something in a wrong way. Please forgive me, but I wanted to share my heart with you. And very good session. We should have more of these here. And thanks again. And I will close the session right now. The recording will end also. We should.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.